How do people make informative decisions in an investment in a stock or the stock market without emotion? And then when they see their investment going down, obviously you only lose money when you sell it, but it feels like you're losing money when it goes down. How do you not get emotional and say, I need to get the money out that I still have in there, when all you're thinking is, how much time did it take to make that money? How much of my life did I spend to earn that money? Whether it's a job or a business or a side hustle or whatever it might be, I spent hours, weeks, months, years on that time for the trade of the money that I got to invest in this stock. And now I'm lost 20%, 50%, 70%. Have I lost my life?
Yep.
And I think that emotion creates a lot of anxiety and fear, regret, remorse, resentful, lack of trust, uncertainty. And I think I can't trust the stock market again. I can't trust myself in making a decision in what to invest in again. What do I do with my money?
That's funny you say this, because I just did a whole presentation on this in Briefs Media, which is when the 2020 pandemic happened, I owned stocks before 2020. My portfolio is going down like this. And when I was on YouTube, what I was talking about was I'm buying. I was buying here, I was buying here, I was buying here, I was buying here, in phases on the way down because I don't know how low it's going to go.
Yes.
And I was talking about this publicly on YouTube. And the comments that I would get when I was saying, I'm buying, I don't know how low it's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen, because if we remember 2020, it was a very scary time. We don't know if the economy is going to be open tomorrow. We don't know if we're all going to be dead tomorrow.
Right.
We especially in the early parts, we had no idea what this thing was. And markets were collapsing. It was the fastest stock market collapse since the Great Depression. And naturally, people got scared. And I was talking about this because there were so many news articles talking about how people were selling out of their 401ks. They were selling out of their retirement accounts at 60% losses, at 50% losses, at 40% losses, because they thought they were going to lose everything. And I was buying, but what ended up happening? We saw markets then turn around and go back up. Now, I couldn't have predicted that it was going to go up the way that it did. But this is where that psychology is so important. And the best way to understand the psychology is to look at history. Because while history doesn't repeat itself, it does rhyme. And what I mean by that is, if you look at any economic downturn, any market downturn, they create opportunities for those that are financially educated, for those that are prepared, and those that understand the financial trends. You have to understand those three things. So financially educated means you know how to find a good investment. Prepared means you have money to go out and invest. And understanding the trends means where are you going to deploy your money? What type of industry do you want to put your money in? What area do you want to put your money? So the financial education is now, well, am I going to put my money into this individual company? Am I going to put money into Amazon or the S&P 500 or something else? And, what's right for you may not be right for me. And you got to know your own financial education on how to analyze your investments. Is it stocks? Is it real estate? Is it something else? What type of stocks? What type of real estate? There's a whole financial education space there. Being prepared, because then what everyone's going to say is, well, the economy shut down. How am I supposed to have extra money? Well, you don't start getting prepared during the downturn. You got to start preparing before bad things happen, when times are good.
And winter is coming.
It's always coming.
Winter is coming soon for a lot of people, I feel like.
Well, yeah. And the thing you also have to understand is, because everyone says when, the first thing you have to understand is I guarantee a recession is going to come. I can bet you whatever amount of money you want.
You just don't know when.
I don't know when, right? We know.
But it's happening. Every 10, 20 years, something's happening.
We have seen a recession every decade in our economy for the last century. In fact, the longest period the United States economy has gone in modern history without a recession was 2008 to 2020. And that was, quote unquote, a forced recession because the economy was shut down because of the pandemic. But that was the longest period ever in our modern history without a recession. So now understanding, guess what? Recessions happen. Market crashes happen. When are they going to happen? I don't know, but I want to be prepared for whenever the next one is. What does that mean to be prepared? That means don't spend all of your money. That means take some of that money and have it either invested or ready to be invested. And again, this all goes into your strategy, because for some people, they're going to set up a system or I'm just going to invest every week, every 2 weeks, every month, and it's just to set it and forget it. And that's fine. And that means when the next downturn happens, you just keep investing and you just keep riding the wave.
Yes.
For others, that means I'm going to invest every week, every month, but I'm also going to put money into a separate account. That way, when I see a good opportunity, there's market opportunities when you see a market downturn, but there's also investment-specific opportunities where a stock is going down or it's undervalued and you see a great opportunity to buy. And that could happen during an economic boom. I saw the same thing in real estate. I made a video about this, I think 2021 or 2022, where that was, one of the hottest housing markets ever. If you remember, that's when mortgage rates were low. Everybody was buying.
Yes.
Homes were being sold way over asking price. And I was still finding good rental properties.
Really?
It was difficult. It was more hard. It took more work. I had to be more picky, but they were still there. And that's where, it's that financial education. But then it's also then the third part, which is the trends. Where are you going to put your money? So in real estate, that means which neighborhood are you going to put your money in? Is it single family? Is it multifamily? Is it commercial? In the stock market, that means, well, do you want to be investing in artificial intelligence? Do you want to be investing in international companies? Do you want to be investing in healthcare? What is the general industry? Where is the trend going? And that's where now you got to understand, I got to know the financial education. I got to be prepared and I got to know the trends. And these things don't start after the fact. People want to then start doing this when I see a great investment opportunity, but I have no money and I don't know what to do. Well, so it's a little too late to start worrying about that now. I mean, you got to start
educate yourself first. Yeah.
And prepare. And that's why it's all about, being financially healthy. It's just like being physically healthy. Actually, you have more benefits being financially healthy because when you work to be physically healthy, I can put in 6 months of work. If I really dedicate myself for 6 months, I can build a shredded six-pack and look great and look really nice. But then if I go back to eating donuts and ho-hos, 6 months later, I'm going to be back to being fat, right? I mean, that is you
Right.
don't build that kind of forever reserves, but you can with wealth.
If you
Because
invest for a big chunk and then you don't invest for a while, it's going to keep compounding that chunk.
I call that a decade of sacrifice. If you put in that decade of spending less and earning more, and you take this money, and instead of buying that Gucci, you go out and you buy these assets, right? Stocks, real
Buy
estate,
Gucci
whatever it might
stock
be.
instead.
Right. You buy investments. And now let's say these investments are paying you monthly or quarterly. Well, now you can spend that money on dumb things. You can spend that money at Gucci, buying the extra guac, buying whatever you want. And those assets are still there,
Yes.
right? You build up reserves. You can't do that with your body, but you can do that with your wealth. And that's what wealthy people want to do is they want to build these reserves first. But that, it goes back to, well, what do I do? I'm making 30,000, I'm making 50,000, I'm making 500,000. It's the same thing. Start by number one, not spending all of your money.
Mm-hmm.
You invest the money you don't spend. You reinvest the cash flow, and then you work to earn more money. And the reason why you're working to earn more money now is so you have more money to invest. Because the reality is now, when you earn more money, you can invest more money. Because at the end of the day, a penny saved is just a penny, right? If I'm making 50 grand a year, maybe you put aside first $5,000 a year to invest. And then you realize, wow, this is great. I want to invest more. Now maybe you're investing $10,000 a year out of your 50 grand. Maybe you get to 15,000, but there's really only so many dollars you can squeeze out of this limited pie. But if you can go from 50,000 to 250,000, now there's a lot more dollars you can invest and a lot more spending power too.
Yes.
And then everybody says, well, how in the world am I going to go from 50 grand to $250,000? My boss is never going to give me that raise. Well, maybe you got to start thinking a little bit differently. Again, it's where are you going to put your focus and attention? That's where you're going to see the most results. If you want to increase your income, you got to learn, how do I increase my income? And the problem is most people are focused on increasing the income without having any financial education.
And they're spending it all.
You're spending it all. And they think, I want to go from $50,000 to $250,000 a year so
And
I can
still
have a nice Bentley,
Right.
so I can go on the nice vacation, so I can have this nice stuff. But in reality, you got to know the financial education first. That way you know how to use the more money, and then you learn how to make more money.
Yeah.
And it's all accessible.
Yes.
Go to YouTube, read books. There's so many opportunities out there.
Great channel called Minority Mindset that you can check out too.